the point being that whilst thinking that we're rational people, we are very easily led into herd-like behaviors. And that's why I stuck with the madness of crowds. Although the ideas come from an elite, there is a crowd-like mentality, principally, as I say in the book, whipped up by the online world, that encourages people to delusions and to wave by things that they know to be untrue. And what I had seen in recent years, so this is a long answer to a short question, but what I had seen in recent years was I describe it in the introduction to Matters of Crowds as no less than an attempt to impose a new metaphysical system of understanding on the modern world. The Western world, I should stress, you don't find this movement in China, you don't find it in Russia in any meaningful way. Many countries across our own continent have absorbed it more than others, and it's a very interesting question as to why that might be. But essentially, the elements of this new metaphysics, this new religion, is, as I do them in chapter by chapter, everything to do with LGBT, everything to do with relations between the sexes, particularly to do with women, everything to do with race, and there are others. There are a couple of others that I could have I identified I could have written about, but it would have been an overlong book. But these are things which, effectively, in our day, people are told you've got to go along with this. This is the presumption, and if you don't go along with it, you can be subjected to the crowd's stampede over you. So yes, that was the genesis of it. The success of the Western world has in large part been in recent centuries due to our acceptance of the scientific method, that it has been for some centuries now, the primary method by which you test the truth of a claim. And the fact that we would give up on that in order to solve the trans, or indeed a part of the LGBT thing, seems to me to be a too high a price to pay. I saw what the Hungarian government did in the constitution as being an attempt to sort of nail down some basics, in the assumption that the winds that had howled through Western Europe and North America would howl through Central Europe in due course. I understand what I think. I mean, the Hungarian friends I have who are opposed to this tend to be opposed to it because they think in some way it will prejudice against what one might call non-traditional couples. I don't see in itself why it should. I could see a scenario where it might, but I don't see in itself why it should. And as I say, I mean, in a way, it's obviously a preemptive, sort of front-footed attempt to say, we're not going to have that wind howl around us. On the Marxism or neo-Marxism thing, I try to show this because it had been something I'd instinctively felt for a long time. And I'd noticed, as friends in Spain and elsewhere had, that the left since 1989 has adapted and started playing different games. You can predict with 100% certainty the political stance that somebody on the left will take on the latest claim about gender or race. You can claim it with absolutely 100% certainty. They will push the most deranging claim. Why would this be? It seems to me, among other things, it gets back to the issue in the Hungarian constitution. Yeah. It seems, among other things, it's to sow discord, sow doubt. This is always a Marxist tactic, to make people doubt even the things they know most instinctively, such as the fact that there are boys and girls. Make people doubt the very first things that we know for sure, in order to make them doubt everything, including the validity of the society that they live in. That's what's been going on in America in particular. That's what's so destructive in that country, is an assault on absolutely every single one of the founding principles, founding fathers, founding claims of the state, of the nation. And Lachlan and Mouffe, of course, among others, they're the ones that make it absolutely clear. They say in the 80s, when they notice that the Marxist experiment isn't going so well, or at least that there seem to be problems, the slow learners, some of these people, they notice in the 1980s that the working class seem not to have turned up in sufficient numbers for the revolution. And so they start to play with this idea that the revolution will come with these new minority groups, and the new minority groups, we might now call them the Rainbow Coalition, if put together, if sort of melded together or sellotaped together, will provide the revolution that they desire. And my sense is that America in particular, but the Western powers in general that have absorbed the sort of social justice thing, seem to be playing these sort of 12th hour games, some of which are contending with serious social issues, but all of which ignore the fact that if they don't get their act together and focus on economic growth, defense, and much more, all of that is meaningless.